Hello guys, it's Ava here. Welcome to TLC Flicks Thursday, October 3, 2024. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Well, let's get going. How could you even consider missing your own son's wedding without a valid reason? Yes, you feel a little uneasy, but it's not your fault, shockingly. Since no one was canceling the wedding in their absence and they weren't the center of attention, I'm willing to bet that Robin and Kody had already decided they would attend. However, they probably sat around hoping Logan and his fiancée would beg them to come, just to stroke their egos. The draw then magically subsided. I won't even begin to discuss Gwen's wedding. They arrived late to the reception, as if they were doing everyone a favor, and failed to show up for the ceremony. Why? Most likely because there was no spotlight for them to enjoy because it wasn't being filmed. Seems to be their go-to move for big days, be it Gwen's or Logan's. Still, I find it incomprehensible that Kody and Robin believed having a babysitter during the coronavirus made sense, especially given that Kody was unable to even bring himself to see his own children. Let's speak honestly. When a whole nanny or coronavirus exposure scenario broke during season 16, Saul was 10 and Ari was 5. Only Ari was involved at that time. Perhaps they required a babysitter, but look at all the jobless people hanging around that house. 3 plus 2 older teens. However, by all means, get a babysitter. The nanny just demonstrates that the whole issue was never about the coronavirus. If they had been so worried about contracting a fatal illness, they would have fired the nanny along with Kody's wives and kids. It's absolutely mind-boggling that none of the other women confronted them about this foolishness. With 3 adults, or nearly so, living in the house full-time, not to mention Kody and Robin, the notion that they actually required a nanny for 2 young children is insane. Some have even speculated that the nanny may not have been a nanny at all. Perhaps a special needs teacher and nanny merely sounded more appealing. Can we all raise a glass to Janelle for finally spilling the tea on Robin? To be honest, that theory makes much more sense than anything Kody and Robin have said. At her residence, my kids didn't feel at ease. She chastised them for opening her refrigerator. Yes, the enigmatic fridge sign mystery has been resolved. I used to tell Robin that I would throw up my arms and welcome them into my house, but unfortunately it doesn't mean opening a refrigerator. Gotta keep your grocery budget in check. Oh dear, watching the other wives, and even the kids, finally respond to the rubbish Kody and Robin have been feeding everyone for years is quite fulfilling. It's nice to see them defend their own interests and reject all of the bullshit. It would have been better for Janelle to take Robin's own remarks and use them again. That wouldn't have been the ideal safe place. Even if Janelle is now speaking the truth, that's fantastic. I'm sorry for her children. These discussions ought to have been taking place on the couch seasons ago, rather than being disregarded. As it was, Janelle ought to have shut down the farce and confronted Robin sooner. It's better late than never, though. Sister wives, too. Star Kody Brown truly had the gall to claim the justification that men cannot ask for their release as justification for keeping Meri in suspense for more than 10 years without any accountability, and for continually holding out false hope for her. Nope, not his fault. Chalk it up to the church. Kody is so sad, poor guy. Meri needed that much time to figure it out, correct? She wasted more than 10 years on this coward, and now he's shifting the responsibility to his iconic church relocation. Something Janelle said once truly stuck. Kody will never dissolve a marriage on his own since it would reflect poorly on him. Rather, he will simply grow aloof, lose his temper, and gradually accuse her of being the cause of his own behavior, until she finally has enough and leaves. Next, cue the act of wounding. It appears that he is unaware of the fact that his actions caused the relationships to end. Even if the woman may have ended it, he still took the initiative. That got him to that point, and then all of a sudden he's lying again, saying his church is BS. It's abundantly clear that the church was never involved in this. Money and power were always the main concerns. Although Kody hasn't really believed in his religion in a while, it was handy when it came to controlling the circumstances. Robin, meanwhile, was pleading with Meri to stay over there. Why? Because she wanted that paycheck to stay, even if she knew Kody didn't want Meri. Keeping Meri in check was part of the game, and Robin enjoyed her power over the other wives as well. The truth was known to Robin, but it was alright with her. Yes, the age-old double standard is at work once more. Robin says that the children don't have to be a part of their parents' problems. She disappears for a few minutes after that, and Ariella and Solomon aren't really keeping up with what's happening in the household. Yes, Robin, they are completely unaware. As Robin so tactfully points out, Christine left Dad, so of course she's a villain. Fast forward to Ari saying, I don't like Christine. And Kody's sitting there, like truly, valuing his smallest child's devotion to him, and I'm thinking, well, maybe we should keep the kids out of this. This is beyond crazy. I won't hold this against Meri. She is simply a child eroding the information she hears. She will, of course, support her parents, but it's easy to see where she got her attitude from. Recall how when Robin sat the kids down to teach them about Thanksgiving in a theatrical manner, she included them without any trouble, stirring the pot as usual. To be honest, it's simple to imagine Meri saying that to Robin rather than Kody. Given that children typically discuss their parents in the third person, she most likely remarked, "I don't like Christine" to her mom, referring to her father. Robin, being her typical passive-aggressive personality, most likely had a significant influence on Meri's viewpoint. Robin can act as though she's innocent, but let's face it, we all know that she's been disparaging Christine, or at the very least, failing to meaningfully correct Meri's rude and juvenile attitude. That pretty much describes her. Furthermore, it's intriguing to contrast Robin's previous interactions with her ex with Christine's child support issue, but I don't believe Christine is doing a Robin here. As part of the adoption plan with Kody, Robin's ex-husband relinquished her parental rights in exchange for her agreeing to stop paying child support. Christine's situation, nevertheless, is unique. Rather than pursuing an adoption or severing Kody from his true life, this is more about making him responsible for continuing to pay child support. Christine is seeking legal action to establish things like custody, visitation, and child support because it appears that her primary grievance is that Kody hasn't been spending much, if any, meaningful time with her. To make sure that genuinely's needs are satisfied, it's probably more important to obtain court-ordered child support than it is to play financial games. Even if Kody isn't as active in her life, he is still legally obligated to take care of Kody's financial position. It's true that he probably doesn't want his assets to be thoroughly examined by the courts. His entire business appears to be based on dubious sources of income, including all the land at Coyote Pass and poorly concealed sources of wealth. Family court will not, however, delve too much into their finances. Christine is not attempting to topple Kody's whole financial system. All she wants is child support ordered by the court. In order to make a decision, the court will review basic financial records, such as tax returns. If Kody attempts to conceal money or play games, Christine may eventually pursue enforcement if he fails to make payments. Regarding visitation, Kody's apparent lack of effort to maintain a relationship with Truly and Christine's move several hours away complicate matters. If Kody isn't already seen with Truly on a regular basis, the court may not push for a strict visitation schedule. The primary focus will likely be on child support and making sure that Truman's future financial needs, such as college, medical bills, and other expenses, are met. Christine's strategy seems fairly simple: obtain legal support to ensure that Kody pays his debts, rather than engaging in any dubious activities like Robin did with her ex-husband Kody. Since there appears to be conflict between them, unfollowing someone, especially your own mother, while she is still following you, sends a message as demonstrated by Gwen and Christine. Particularly when Gwen stopped following her mother on Instagram and failed to show up for Christine's wedding. Though there's probably more going on behind the scenes, one idea suggests that Christine may have been involved in the ongoing struggle between Gwen and her brother, Peyton, because of her neutrality in the matter. It's probable that Gwen was offended by Christine's impartial attitude and felt unsupported because she's been vocal about her problems with Peyton, even going so far as to accuse him of some serious behavior. For a while, it appeared that Peyton and Gwen received invitations to family gatherings while the other did not. However, it appears that the family has decided to invite both and let them choose whether or not to attend. This has put Christine in a difficult position as a mother because she can't fully support one of her children without hurting the other, and both of them have valid feelings of their own. Gwen is still relatively young, figuring out who she is and growing up in a family that is closely watched by the public. Although Christine has received great media attention, nobody is flawless, and there are additional levels of complexity when raising children in a polygamist fundamentalist household, especially in the spotlight of reality television. Due to her queerness and autism, Gwen most certainly experienced additional difficulties as a child, which may have contributed to any residual anger or irritation. It's easy to see how their family structure and the weight of these personal struggles could exacerbate the situation. Although some viewers think Gwen is a bit of a drama queen, all of the children involved had every right to harbor resentment towards the 5 parents who raised them in a complex, frequently dysfunctional home where their lives were public knowledge. It's a lot to handle, and although we don't have all the information, Gwen's possible hostility is most likely justified. Ultimately, family dynamics are complex, particularly within the Brown family, and this is probably only one aspect of a much larger picture. Hopefully, they can resolve this amicably. Moreover, allow me to correct the record. After dating for 2 years in 2010, Kody began adopting Robin's children in 2014. Yes, Kody was their father once he signed the adoption paperwork. There are no disagreements there. However, let's not act as though that was significant throughout their first 4 years of dating. Aurora, Brianna, and Dayton would just be the children's step-siblings in any household that isn't a polygamous sect, and Robin would be considered Dad's new young lover. In blended families, it's common for the older children to require some time to get to know the new ones. It would be unrealistic to anticipate, if not outright unheard of, that they would click like lifelong siblings right away. Rather than allowing the OG kids to treat Robin's brood as though they were equally ingrained in their lives from the beginning, the adults in this circus bullied and shamed the kids for not making the emotional leap right away. As a result, Robin's kids felt practically pressured to call Kody Dad when they could hardly recognize him in a lineup. One of the numerous negative effects of polygamy is this. If you've watched the documentaries, you are aware that presidents frequently rearrange their wives and children. The church essentially says, "This is your father now," and that's the end of it if the original father loses favor with the congregation. Even if it could seem manufactured, the Brown family's emotional strain feels equally oppressive. If the original kids rejected Robin and her children, then the debates about whether or not they were accepted are absurd. That isn't a moral shortcoming. I mean, it's a hard scenario. Sincerely, it is unrealistic to expect children to fall in love with someone they hardly know just because someone tells them to. Not everyone wants to acknowledge how cultish this entire relationship feels, and don't forget that they were supposed to treat Robin's children differently. The first children were encouraged to be rough and tumble, but Robin coddled her children like they were precious treasures. As a result, the new children had to be treated like unique snowflakes, while also pretending everything was okay and disregarding the fact that they now spent even less time with their father. And the adoption as well. Joyful celebration? Let's discuss that. Kody demanded the most elaborate plaques for his new children. Really, would you mind cutting down a little bit and getting something for each child so they could feel included as well? However, that would be overly logical, wouldn't it? What a wonderful corner they've managed to squirm into, too. What? Logan has an astounding 7 seats available for Kody and his group, with Michelle's family having virtually half of the front row all to themselves. Does anyone really think that Robin wouldn't be anywhere without her girls, or that Kody would ever sit any place? Not at all. Why is Kody upset then? Evidently, he's angry that Logan only gave him and Robin 2 feet farther back in the first row, when they were supposed to have more than half of the seats. Since he really acknowledged telling Michelle he wasn't sure he would even show up to the reception, I can't even with these folks right now. Let's suppose he's talking about that. I mean, come on, creating seating charts is a huge pain, and this guy has the gall to say, "I might not come." Additionally, I would have put him in the back. Given his behavior during one's wedding, where he didn't even show up for the ceremony, you'd think he'd have the good sense to remain quiet about how he's been treated at his kids' celebrations. Why waste nice seats on someone who might not even bother to show up? Of course, you can't repair stupid for Kody if he's not officiating or in the front row. Just take a look at how he positions himself, frantically attempting to get as close to the front as possible. What a tired man, nevertheless, he must be to be around. To simply be in the same room as him seems like a full-time job. The thought that perhaps everyone else was merely having fun is beyond his comprehension. To be honest, it's disappointing that it took them so long to get a divorce. He wasn't the one getting all the attention or kudos during his son's wedding, so you can just feel him pouting. Well done, Logan, for resisting the need to stroke Kody's inflated ego. He simply cannot comprehend that he is no longer on this pedestal because they have had him there for far too long. If somebody is behaving like an adolescent, then the mask of charity has been firmly pulled off. Kody is seen here at the reception. He was occupied with making notes about who he believed to be having fun and who he believed to be feigning enjoyment. The OG3 or OG13 were celebrating Logan and Michelle's marriage and were having a great time. I'm quite sure nobody gave a damn about Kody's impression of their enjoyment. They had no idea of his drama, they were just in the moment. Even during someone else's wedding, Kody genuinely believes he is the center of the universe. I don't know how this guy, who is so naive, keeps himself afloat in the adult world. This explains Kody's extreme narcissism. What does Kody do at gatherings while everyone else goes to have a good time? He maintains a running tab of everyone's conduct, observing who waves and who doesn't, as well as who appears to be having fun and who is merely acting that way. Not to mention his favorite pastime, keeping tabs on who is and isn't faithful. All of this knowledge is stored in his mind, ready to be released at a later time to settle a dispute, play the victim, or use as a weapon against anyone, pretty much everyone who didn't live up to Kody's expectations. It's genuinely insane behavior involving games. It appears that Kody Brown wasn't exactly pressured to work as Robin's nanny. As a teenager, she made the decision to move out. Interesting, huh? She almost started crying when she talked about her adolescence. It appears that Kody and Robin were not the ones who planned this small arrangement, contrary to what we all imagined. What in the world was happening in Lehi that would cause a little child to wish to move out of her family and live with strangers? As much as the adults try to pretend, we all know that family life wasn't as perfect before Robin arrived. However, Kody seemed to recall that time as a painful phase of her life. Even while my own adolescence wasn't exactly a dream come true, I can still pick up the positive moments within the turmoil. The idea that Kody felt the need to leave the house in order to be seen and heard is frightening, especially because there are 4 adults living there. Let's dissect it. At that time, Robin had 3 children, while Kody, Christine, Meri, and Janelle had 12, 3 or 4 children apiece. Saying there were a lot of kids to manage doesn't quite cut it for me, unless you consider Kody. Robin had a similar amount of kids, however, she was still able to welcome another adolescent into her family. Additionally, the age difference between Kody and Robin's children produced a very different dynamic than what she encountered with the OG children, who were closer in age. Christine and her children frequently appeared to have disagreements. Consider her remarks regarding Isabel when she first came at Meri's place, or when Aspen cohabitated with Robin. It's likely that in a desperate attempt, Christine offered up Kody, and Kody and Robin seized the chance. It might have felt like a new beginning for Michael. Since she was only one of several children at home when they first met, she most likely didn't receive enough attention from her parents. In contrast, Michael probably received a lot more one-on-one time with Robin. Since Kody was undoubtedly the forgotten middle child, it makes sense that she would look for additional attention elsewhere. I think this is what happens when a family moves to Las Vegas and settles into their rentals for the first time, and also when they have too many children to give each one the individual care they deserve. Clearly, they can only afford to furnish 1 room in the house for each adult. Robin and Christine choose bedroom sets, and Meri and Janelle choose furnishings for their living rooms. At last, we get to meet the adorable Theo at that point. Because Janelle chooses to decorate the living room for the benefit of the entire family, it is highlighted that they are only allowed to decorate 1 room each. But Janelle retorts that there isn't money for a bed as Kody continues to demand that they need one. Traditional. A few episodes later, they return to the shop so Robin can furnish Solomon with a brand new nursery. Perhaps I'm just the type of person who notices everything wrong, but her nursery ought to have counted as her 1 room. She needed supplies for the infant, of course, but you would think she could get some hand-me-downs from the 16 other children. To be honest, I think the entire budget issue was merely an apology plot. By now, the show was bringing in a respectable sum of money, and TLC had undoubtedly contributed a little sum as well, just like with the vacations and weddings. Did Robin also tell Kody that she had never used a cot before in this episode? I recall that Kody was surprised, and to be honest, Robin came across as a little funny. Even though she was broke when her 3 oldest children were born, something tells me she never had a cot coup to playfully break Kody's heart and make him seem like a hero for finally purchasing her one. It's amazing that Robin managed to accrue tens of thousands of dollars in debt for those unique long pants, but she couldn't afford to spend an additional $100 on a cot because credit card debt was her first priority, isn't it? If you were looking for more Sister Wives gossip, come back to TLC Flicks for all your updates. Bye, guys.